professor. When we started the book distribution movement, we were young, immature, didn't know anything about, proper etiquette, how to interact with people. We just wanted the books out. So we just say, here, you get one, the people will take the book. Or here we're passing this out, they'll take the book, but then, we got to get donations for it. But it's not so that many people walked away, a little dissatisfied with this style. So I went on a mission to stop this style. So now I try to teach devotees that you shouldn't say this. You just say, here, we're showing this to people. Or here, check this out. That doesn't give the impression that it's for free. Now we got one good result of that with this GBC member joining. But it's not a good way to do it in general. Because people, it's not a proper way to interact with people here. You're offering something for free, and then we ask for donation, then we give a donation, take the free book back. It's not good. So fortunately around the world this has stopped. There's still a few pockets where it's still happening. But the golden rule, anybody know what the golden rule is for book distribution? Everybody walk away with a good impression. The golden rule for book distribution. Even if they don't take a book, at least we want them to walk away with a smile. That they feel that they've met a very nice person. And when they walk away with that feeling, then the chances of them taking a book the next time are very high. Because they had that good exchange. And people remember exchanges with devotees. 20 years down the road, they'll remember an exchange, one exchange with a devotee. Okay, an interesting thing. Vaisheshika, he's probably the most enthusiastic person on the planet to distribute Bhagavad books, and he encourages others like anything. And that's one of his mottos: encourage people like anything. So he was distributing books in Hawaii, and he was speaking to one couple, and he was showing the book to them. And after he presented the book, they said, well, it's nice what you said, but we're Christians, so we're not Christians. Thank you. And he said, well, I want to thank you anyway for stopping and giving me your valuable time. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you again. So they left. He was talking to somebody else. And then they came back, maybe 45 minutes later. And he waited for him to stop his talk with the other people. They came and they said, you were such a nice gentleman. We decided to give you a donation and take a book. I said, that is high-class book distribution. That's 5-star book distribution, where you present the book so nicely that at first they refused, and then they're so touched, they come back. We changed our life. That's high class. So that's an example that we can learn from how to present Prabhupada books. And now here in Melbourne, you're doing much better in book distribution. I'm impressed. The marathon, it's like one of the best marathons you've had in a long time. And I heard the householders now. inspiration for distributing Prabhupada's books. And if you want to become inspired to distribute books, then read the books. Read the books. And the book that inspires me the most to distribute Prabhupada's books is the Bhagavad Gita. Is the spoken words of God. And the reason this is also the book that I distribute the most. And the reason is that I travel around the world, and it's amazing how many people join because of the Bhagavad Gita. It must be like about 80%. And it's not an easy book to read. It's very philosophical. Not an easy book to read, but it's amazing how many people join because of the Bhagavad Gita. I'm curious, how many of you join because of reading the Bhagavad Gita? Okay, good number, right in here also. So it's a very powerful presentation given by Krishna. So we want this message to be distributed all around the world. There's darkness everywhere. Kali Yuga is getting thicker and thicker. So darkness cannot be removed by more darkness. It can only be removed by light. So Krishna's words are the light that can remove the darkness that people are experiencing in this Kali Yuga. So it's very auspicious that you're increasing in book distribution. And it's even more auspicious when you increase more and more and more. Set a goal. Goals are very powerful. This is a thing that Vaisheshika Prabhu does every year. They have goal setting. And you set those goals, and Krishna helps. If you want to please Krishna, then Krishna, he helps to set goals. So I'm sure, yes, last year you defeated the year before. So now this year, defeat what you did. He calls it, they call it the ISV smashing. Let's smash that, the previous record. And go forward, go higher, bigger. Because people become devotees by reading Prabhupada's books. They find out what to do, what not to do. Now people don't know. Just like here in this verse, it's mentioned, art thou of your interest. So what is the interest of people? They don't know what is their real self-interest. They're thinking their real self-interest is in just satisfying the senses. But what a waste. Just the animals are out there satisfying their senses, trying to satisfy their senses. But we're not our senses. Evam bure puram bhutva samsto dhyatmanamapana jahi sabjit mahabaho kamarupi drasta. Krishna says, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind and intelligence, one should steady oneself by carefully engaging in Krishna consciousness. So this is the reality, that we're something different from these senses. We're the soul within. And the soul's interest is to serve Krishna. Natevadu sparka gatinki Vishnu durasya yeva armaya anhayatandera puniyamana tevishitantra udamivada. That people don't know that their real self-interest is in serving Krishna. They don't know. So we have to let them know. And the best way, it's still the best way, is by book distribution. It's very powerful. The pen is mightier than the sword. The words, the powerful words of wise people, is very powerful. And no one is wiser than Krishna. So, by giving out, by distributing these words of wisdom, people become wise. And they understand what is the real value of life, what is actually value. They don't know. Therefore, this verse goes on to say, Andhaya Tandara Viniyama. They're blind. People are blind. They don't know where they're going. They don't know that down the road from where they are in performing their sinful activities, they're going to meet Yamaraj. They don't know that. So we have to let them know that you're going down a dark path, and you're going to run into some personalities that you're not going to want to see. You're going to really lament when you see these Yamadutas. So we're in a situation where we can interfere with them meeting the Yamadutas. Just like imagine there's a blind person walking, a blind and deaf. He's walking. And he's walking towards some moving traffic. Now any gentleman or any lady will immediately go and stop the man. As you can see, he'll go to stop him. No, you're going into some dangerous area, you'll physically even stop him. Any gentleman would do that because he's going towards a very dangerous situation. So people are going towards a very dangerous situation. They're committing so many sins, so they're going to go to hell. They're going to suffer so much. So we're in a situation where we can stop them from running into such a horrible situation by giving them Prabhupada's orders. Now there's millions of people around the world that are taking on Krishna consciousness by hearing this transcendental message. So we're very fortunate to be a part of this movement that can help people see properly. We want people to be able to see who they are and who God is and what the goal of life is. And this is possible. So many wonderful examples of people's lives just being transformed by getting Prabhupada's books. And this is the result. There's one amazing incident that happened in Los Angeles. One young man, he got a book. And he was a little out of order, as Prabhupada would say, mentally, quite out of order. I remember seeing him one time, he had come to the temple and his clothes were just completely disarrayed. And everything about him was disarrayed. Just looked more or less like a madman. And I was thinking, how is this person ever going to make it in Krishna consciousness? I was thinking like that. And now, 8 years later, he's a Brahmana and he's worshiping the deities. He's a nice devotee. So this is the power of Krishna consciousness. He made his mother a devotee. She's a nurse in Los Angeles. So anybody can become a devotee. There's one amazing instance also in Boston. There was one person who came, he was living in the temple, but he was like that also, just out of it, out of order. So much so that it would take him like 10 hours to chant his japa. And he would just lay on the hallway. He couldn't do any service. So the temple president wrote Prabhupada, what should we do with this person? It takes him like 10 hours to chant his japa, and then he's so out of order, he can't do any service. What should we do? Should we ask him to leave, or should we stay with him? So Prabhupada wrote back and said, it's very easy to send someone away. But it takes some sincerity, some austerity to make someone a devotee. Make him a devotee. Do the austerity. Help him. he may become a good devotee. So they did that. And they worked for them, gradually got better. The temple president at that time was Swami. So 20 years after this exchange that Prabhupada had with this Giriraj Maharaj, he was in the Los Angeles temple, Giriraj, now he's Giriraj Maharaj, and he saw this person that he had wrote to Prabhupada about whether we should ask him to leave or should we keep him. And he was so surprised to see this devotee still there, and he's at Mangal Arati in Los Angeles, Brahmachari. So after Mangal Arati, Giriraj Maharaj asked the devotee, said, who was that person? Because he didn't know he got initiated even. And they told him, oh, that's Kusakrata. Anybody know Kusakrata? Kusakrata is one of our Sanskrit scholars. He translated so many books from Sanskrit into English. He became a scholar. A wonderful devotee. Amazing classes. So they were thinking, how is this person ever going to possibly make it? Should we ask him to leave? And Prabhupada said, no. Take him to devotee. He became a wonderful devotee. He became a Sanskrit scholar. So this is the Shakti, this is the potency of coming in contact with Krishna, with his name, with his instructions, with his devotees. So we have to get this message out. It's an emergency. It's an epidemic. The disease of Maya has just covered the whole planet. So we have to help people. Prabhupada was in New York City. We saw one advertisement of paint. I think it was Sinclair paint. And the paint was pouring, and the paint was covering the whole planet. And Prabhupada said, this is what we want. We want to cover the world with Krishna conscious literature. So he wanted every home to have at least one Krishna conscious literature. So there's probably a lot of homes here in Melbourne that don't have Prabhupada's books. So we have a lot of seva, a lot of service to do here and all around the world. We have to help the people. A devotee is compassionate. He sees someone suffering and he gives pain. Therefore he's called para dukkha dukhi. He sees someone suffering, he gives pain. And he wants to help. So everyone is suffering. It's like they say here about Australia, the lucky country. Right? But it's not so lucky. Australia is number 9 in the world out of over 200 countries in divorce rate. 40%, about 40% of marriages end in divorce. So that's a lot of pain. To go through a divorce is a very painful thing. I never went through it, but I know. I've heard. We all know it must be very painful. But you'll be happy to know that the number 1 country in the least amount of divorces is India. Number 1 in the world in the least amount of divorces. Because they accept still, pretty, of course it's degrading more and more as the Western influence moves in. But in general they accept it as a duty. Marriage is a duty, that they have a duty to perform, to raise their children, hopefully Krishna consciousness. So, people need a lot of help. And we have that knowledge that can help them in their lives. So I think Sunday we're going to have some discussions on book distribution. I think Saturday there's going to be a picnic, right? All the book distributors and whoever wants to associate with the book distributors. And then Sunday we're going to have more discussion. And what would be nice if we could have some brainstorming on how to increase book distribution. I'm not just going to speak. I want to hear how, from you, we can increase. Prabhupada said we should tax our brain on how to distribute more books. And not only on how to distribute more books, but how to cultivate people that do give books. It's like, here we are in Australia, but there's very few Australians that are involved. But they're out there. They're out there. There's Australians right here in Melbourne that if they're cultivated nicely, if they get one of Prabhupada's books, they can become Krishna conscious. When Prabhupada came here, so many Australians had joined. It was just like amazing. So it's possible. You just have to work it out. You have to try, and Krishna will help us. So, okay, any question or comment? Yes. Krishna does, right? Krishna does.
How to make people who don't know our language take books?
How to get people to take books that don't know our language? You mean the language of our philosophy, or?
Our language that we speak, to talk to them.
We all speak English.
Yeah. They speak a different language then.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Sometimes we approach people that they speak another language, like French or German, so they have something. You can actually download it from ISB. They have these cards that have the mantra on how to distribute a book. So that's something that we can do here. There's many people here also from other countries that it's hard to exchange in any way. So yeah, you can get these cards. But you have foreign books here also?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So you can get these cards. I can discuss it later. That's a very good question. So yeah, they can get downloaded. You can get these cards so that you can communicate with people. Yeah, thank you. Yes.
So you're mentioning about not only giving the book, but also inspiring them to read the books. So how can we leave them inspired to read the book? And a second question as well. Sometimes I feel...
Well, let's work on the first one.
Okay, sure.
How to inspire them to read Prabhupada's books once we've given them a book? Well, our example is the best way. If you're nice, you're gentle, you inspire them to take a book, then that's what will inspire them to also read the book. I'll tell you an interesting thing that happened. Recently at the Woodford Festival, I've been going to that every year, and there was one person who came to the table. He was from New York. I mean, he was a real New Yorker. And we had a real nice exchange. And so I offered him the book, and he said, I'm not interested in this book, but I like you. So I'm going to take this book and I'm going to give you a book. So this is how we should inspire them. And that comes from Krishna consciousness. If we're Krishna conscious, then people will be inspired to take a book and hopefully to read the book. But we can tell them, one thing is that we can tell them that sometimes they even ask us, why are you doing this? And quite often devotees will say, well, this is so nice. this knowledge is so nice. When I first read it, I was just thinking how nice this is. And now I've taken it up. And it's so nice that I want to share it with others. And people appreciate that this person is becoming so gentle and nice, and this knowledge has inspired him. And sometimes just by our demeanor, if we're just, we smile, nice, gentle, we're kind, and people think, oh, this person has become like this. And from reading this knowledge, maybe it will help me also. You had another question? Is that all right?
That's good, yeah. But sometimes I feel that sometimes I feel that if I present the book for what it is, then less people will take it. So then I basically dress it up a little bit. I say some things that they can relate to, which would not necessarily really represent the book. So then they might take the book, but after when they read it, I think maybe they will be a bit bewildered.
Well, we can't say anything that's not true.
Yeah.
To get them to take a book.
But can I make an example?
Okay.
So I say, for example, this book on meditation. As a Bhagavad Gita book on meditation. It's right, but at the same time, I think most people would expect something that it adds, I'm just thinking that maybe I'm getting mental about it. I'm just thinking.
No, you can say that. Many devotees read Prabhupada's books and started meditating. Personally, I never heard the Hare Krishna mantra before reading Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. But from reading the Bhagavad Gita, I started meditating on the Hare Krishna mantra. How many of you started chanting from reading Prabhupada's books? Look at this. 3/4 of the room. So it's true. It's okay. Yoga, meditation, and it's yoga. It's bhakti yoga. It's the real yoga. So yeah, yoga and meditation is fine. But what you can do also is I sometimes show them in the last page of the introduction, I show them the Maha Mantra. This is the meditation we do. So if you're interested in doing the meditation, here's you also have mantra cards that you distribute. So this is the meditation we do. And even Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that if you do a yajna without giving them some meditation or mantra, and this is yajna in the mode of ignorance. So in ISV, they also get people to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. That's a big part of it. They try to get everybody to chant. Yeah. And also prasadam. If you do a yajna without distributing prasadam, that's also a yajna in the mode of ignorance. Interesting. So ISV really has it down, they get the prasadam, they chant the mantra, they get the book, because Vaisheshika, he's just like so much into what Krishna wants, what Prabhupada wants. So, yeah, meditation, yoga is fine.
I have a third question.
I know, we have a gentleman here that's
Vijay Prabhu, I'll tell you, on 4th of December 1973, I'm talking 45 years back, I was going to pick my mail from the post office in Melbourne, in New South Wales, near Sydney. So one devotee just came and said, are you interested in taking it? Yes. And I gave him some dollars and he was so happy. So, but I took the book and I didn't read for 1 or 2 weeks. But we used to read Bhagavad Gita from Hanuman Prasad Pradhan, from Gorakhpur, Hindi and Sanskrit. We could never understand. So difficult to understand. So one day my wife said, why don't you take out that book you brought the other day? And when we started opening that book, my God, everything was difficult. The first thing I learned, because from before that, my mother told me, I'm talking 75 years back, my mother told me, Unnati Janani Trishyanam, Traya. If you don't become a devotee, you have to take birth in a womb, which can be either a human being or an animal. But nobody could tell me only Srila Prabhupada could tell that what is the way, Krishna consciousness is the only way you can get out of this cycle of birth, old age, disease and death. There is no other way. So from this book only, that's why I am here. My temple president from Sydney used to come to our house to bring the prasadam, preach and distribute the books. He was so kind. Prabhupada, when he was paramedic at Sydney, he was crying that what are these people, what are they running for? Same thing Punchwood in Melbourne. People were just, he was going in the car and he said, why people? So they are going for cricket. So I said, wow, how they are wasting their life. So this is extreme compassion. Yesterday I was reading the 30th chapter. So why everything, every word is so important what Prabhupada is writing? We understand only when we go a bit higher and higher. So, as you said just now, the Prabhupada books are just it's a miracle to wake up the soul. We all are devotees, born, but it's all covered. So, only book is Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, which can really make a person really intelligent. So, we are
Yeah, thank you. One thing I found for distributing books to Hindus at the Winter Festival, I just discovered this. I tell the Hindus, you know, when I got this Bhagavad Gita 40 years ago, I couldn't put it down. I read it in 8 days. And since then, I've read it so many times, I've lost count. But what amazes me is 99% of the Hindus never read Bhagavad Gita.
That's right. And they think they know everything. They know everything Gita. You ask them, they will say, oh, I know Gita. That's a fact.
So then I asked them, have you read Bhagavad Gita cover to cover? No. Fine. Take this book. I'm American. I've read it so many times. It's so nice. You read it. Give a donation. You make one promise. You promised me you were going to read it cover to cover. Okay. And everybody was taking it. That's one that you could
I saw in Los Angeles, Venice Beach, how you people are distributing books. I was so amazed. You are giving 5, 6 books, even for nothing. You don't want even money. Amazing. Los Angeles preaching.
Yes.
Could we also ask how many people in this congregation started reading books after they started reading Prabhupada? Because back in my day, we used to go to Crossways in Koran. Now it's in the city. I used to read up to there.
Okay, how many here joined because of Prashad? Oh my God, the secret weapon. Prashadam. So yeah, so you have books and Prashadam. You know.
Chanting and dancing.
Yeah. It's just a question of time, right? It's very important. Yeah. You have one more?
Yeah. So occasionally also I meet actually quite a few people who read Bhagavad Gita and just too much for them, they can't understand it. So my question is, what's the importance of distributing other books? Like, is it really best to start off everybody with Bhagavad Gita? What is your opinion on it?
Well, what I found is that there's 2 books that devotees have come and joined from reading: Science of Self-Realization and Bhagavad Gita. So now what I've been doing is I give them a Bhagavad Gita and an SSM, Science of Self-Realization. This is many devotees have come because of the Science of Self-Realization. So they might find it a little hard to read the Bhagavad Gita, so then they have that also to read.
Like books like Science of Self-Realization, it's not directly written by Prabhupada, but compiled by the devotees later on. So sometimes I'm thinking, like even when I read this book or Chant and Be Happy, I'm thinking it's getting out of date. Is that okay to think like this as a devotee, or is it offensive? I just think many interviews, many people that are in the book, they're not alive. People maybe they don't even hear of them.
Well, there may, yeah. Maybe we're ready for an updated book like that. scientist organization.
Little Krishna Ashram.
Yes.
Basically, you're talking about the golden rule that send the people with a good impression. Next time they buy a book, if they don't have a book. How do you do that?
Very good question.
What is it?
He's asking, I mentioned how the golden rule is, everybody walk away with a good impression. So that, then maybe next time I'll take the book. So he's asking, how do you do that? Well, if you're Krishna conscious, then you'll be a very nice gentleman. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, to confirm this, he says, Yoga Yuhya Vishuddhatma, Viditatma Jitendriya, Sarvatama Bhutatma, Kurma Lakhi Nilapite. Krishna says, one who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. And although engaging in all different types of activities, he's never entangled. So for Krishna conscious, then we'll be nice to everybody. And Prabhupada said that's actually this is the mood of Prabhupada, that Prabhupada loved everybody. He loved everybody. And that's why we have such a big movement around the world, because he loved everybody. So by becoming Krishna conscious, we also develop this love for everyone, because everybody is a spirit soul. Right? Everybody's part of Krishna. So by Krishna consciousness, we go beyond the body. We go to the soul. We touch the soul. Okay? Yes? You have to speak loudly.
Sometimes we have to tell the people that is actually not true just to give the books. Sometimes we have to tell something that is actually not true while giving the books. So because I met one Indian family and they were asking me for the demigod, they were asking, do you have any Ganesha books and Shiva books? And then I handed them a Bhagavad Gita and I told them that the Krishna even speaks about demigods in this book as well. So that is...
No, that's true. Don't worship the demigods.
They were specifically asking for Ganesha and Shiva, so I was thinking like we should tell them the philosophy that the demigod worship is, is not so good. That is what in Bhagavad Gita we should give the book just saying that this is the book for the demigods. So that should be the actual the best thing.
You can tell that they were actually demigod worshippers? Or they were...
Yeah, they were asking, no, we don't need Krishna books, we don't prefer keeping Bhagavad Gita at the places from the ancestors, like we are not keeping Bhagavad Gita. So we only keep the books of Lord Shiva, Ganesha, Durga.
They weren't interested in Krishna.
No.
So that's all right. Yeah, lots of information about demigods in here. It's okay. There was one instance, Prabhupada said about this one devotee Prabhupada called the incarnation of book distribution, Tripurari. And Tripurari was talking to one person. The person said, is there anything in here about, what was it, there was some, what was it? It's coming, it's the energy crisis. The lady asked her, is there anything here about the energy crisis? And Tripura said, yes, it's about the energy crisis. How about like that? And it's true. Now this is back in the 70s when they were having the problem, there was not much gas. Somehow although now there's so much gas still, I don't know what that was. So there's an energy crisis. And Tripura said, yes. And it's true, because people are wasting energy. So it's true. I mean, not specifically what she was thinking about, but people are wasting energy. Krishna's energy. So it's true. So of course we shouldn't just make blatant lies Yeah, we can distribute Prabhupada's books in a way. I mean, there's so many nice things that we can say about Prabhupada's books that are in Prabhupada's books. So it's not, you know, as far as that, that's okay. So, yes?
How do you give books to people who are very hasty and very busy, like they don't have a limit and stuff?
They don't have much time?
Yeah.
Yeah. You tell them 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. All right, give me 30 seconds. And then, of course, you take a little longer, but that just gets them to stop.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about all these things. Keep your questions. We're going to have this a little later. Sunday, we're going to have some brainstorming on how to increase book distribution in Melbourne. Okay? Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Morning Class.